Hi, I'm Danelle and welcome to the Wake Up Entertainment where we give you the freshest and most unfiltered information. So, let's just get on today's video, okay? Limpopo High Court in Polokwane, it ruled out that children that are born in South Africa but to foreigners are not South Africans. This came after a couple decided to get their children citizenship in South Africa. This is because these kids were born in South Africa. The man argues that he has a working permit and the children were born in South Africa. So they are basically South Africans and deserve a South African citizenship. But no, this court decided to decline. I really think it declined because at this point you don't know if you're doing the right thing or not. They're so sure on how this stands, but for now they're going to decline giving them the citizenship. This is because that these parents are not from South Africa, but if only one of the parents was South African, the children would have been South African by birth. But because they're all Zimbabweans, they should go to Zimbabwe and to give them unbridged birth certificates so that they go to Zimbabwe and get their kids the right birth certificates, the ones from Zimbabwe, because they are from Zimbabwe. The department said children of both permanent residents follow their parents' status, meaning that these children are Zimbabwean. After these developments, Hopel Chinono was angry and he posted a post by Helen Zille, and this is what it read. All children born in South Africa should be entitled to citizenship as far as I am aware. My parents were refugees too. Fortunately, this happened during the time of apartheid, but now black people are ruling for themselves. They are ruling themselves, and this is what they've decided. And it's a very sad, honest truth. A team of labor inspectors, immigration officials, and police officers raided a restaurant in Pretoria. The authorities arrived, the staff at Mug and Bean switched off the lights and made their ways through the rooftop. An employee was caught hiding in the fridge. One employee was caught hiding in the fridge and she was removed by the authorities. In one restaurant, there was only one South African and 14 undocumented foreigners. Gayton Mackenzie took to Twitter and said, "Not in GNU for vibes. We are fighting for what we believe in. We are listening to opposing views. We differ respectfully. I was pleasantly shocked when I heard Gwede Matashe eloquently put the case against hiring illegal foreigners in restaurants and elsewhere. We will fix South Africa." 15 July, the Home Affairs Department announced its budget and said, "In the coming year, Home Affairs will increase the number of inspections at restaurants, spaza shops, farms and mines by over 50% in order to take action against people illegally employed, including through deportations." Gayton Mackenzie, while responding to a user on Twitter, he said, "Sorry to hear about your ordeal. I can promise you that businesses still hiring illegal foreigners will face the full wrath of the new laws after May. We shall show them no mercy. A change is coming." Home Affairs Minister Leon Schreiber processed special visas for people with special skills only for foreigners. So if you're a foreigner and you have a special skill that no South African can do, well, you get yourself a special visa. He said this in Parliament that there are some South Africans that are not able to do jobs and these foreigners can do the jobs. So foreigners are given this. Some of the skills are in medicine, engineering and interpreters in courtrooms. Revealed in Parliament that they had exhausted all efforts in determining that South Africans can do this job. So why not just get foreigners and give them special visas? But Gayton Mackenzie is not having none of this. This is what he said. "As sitting with the highest unemployment figure in the whole world, we should not even entertain bringing people from outside South Africa. Let's rather lift our people towards special skill status. We are a caring government and that is what caring governments do. GNU all the way." That's Gayton Mackenzie's view. He really doesn't want any in South Africa. And to be honest, he really has a point. Why not teach South Africans to have that special skill instead of getting other people into South Africa? Just before the May elections, Gayton Mackenzie said, "The Patriotic Alliance wants an audit of all payments, staying documents, job visas, and asylum seekers starting in 1994 to 2024. We have many illegal foreigners that think they are legal because they have the right documentation obtained fraudulently. We see many here on Twitter." So, what is it that you think? Is Gayton Mackenzie right or is he wrong? Well, please let me know in the comment section down below. South Africa and Botswana deported 25,000 Zimbabweans between January and April this year. During the same period last year, 17,000 deportees were recorded from both countries. South Africa accounted for 13,600 removals. Tibetan police said 23,000 people, mainly illegal immigrants, were deported from South Africa through the Beitbridge post, whereas 2,100 were deported coming from the side of Beitbridge from Botswana. On average, about 100 people are deported from Botswana, while between 200 and 300 are deported from South Africa every single day. Those deported would have either crossed the border without the right documents or overstayed their staying period, having their permits to be cancelled. IOM and partners have begun to implement a contingency plan to provide humanitarian assistance to Zimbabwean migrants who may be forcibly returned from South Africa this year, following the end of a regularization campaign on 31st of December 2010. Hundreds of thousands of irregular Zimbabwean migrants could face deportation from South Africa, as only about a sixth of the percentage of the people that in South Africa applied for this. Nearly 276,000 Zimbabweans in the end registered for regularization through the campaign that began last September. IOM, together with humanitarian partners and the Zimbabwean and South African government, will provide humanitarian and protection assistance to vulnerable returnees, including unaccompanied minors. Under the plan, IOM, with support from local and international organizations, has repositioned non-food items, including tents, blankets, at reception and support centers at the Beitbridge and Plumtree border crossings in Zimbabwe. Nations bordering South Africa and Botswana are two of the principal points for cross-border traffic for Zimbabwean migrants. The IOM Beitbridge and Plumtree centers, which opened in 2006 and 2008, have assisted 116,000 and 121,000 returnees cross-border traffic for Zimbabwean migrants. The IOM Beitbridge and Plumtree centers, which opened in 2006 and 2008, have assisted 116,000 and 121,000 returnees respectively with protection services, basic medical treatment, and health-related referrals, temporary shelter, food, water, and sanitation facilities, psychological counseling, information on HIV and AIDS, family tracing, and reunification assistance, and transportation. September 2010, agreement was reached between the Zimbabwean and South African government to register all Zimbabwean nationals currently residing in South Africa. As part of the arrangement, regular Zimbabwean migrants had to apply for legal residency status based on employment or business ownership in South Africa by December 31 or risk deportation. Zimbabwean migrants faced a number of challenges to regularizing their status, including a backlog for processing passport applications in Zimbabwe itself. IOM assisted registration efforts by providing material, equipment, and staff to support a mobile registration center, as well as working with the Farm Association in the Limpopo area to identify communities and facilitate registration of Zimbabwean nationals within the province. IOM continues to support community stabilization efforts in some of the most impoverished migrant-sending areas of Zimbabwe through income generation programs and other livelihoods activities. In July, the attempt by Home Affairs to deport thousands of Zimbabweans was thwarted by courts. The Department of Home Affairs then started consultations over the fate about 23,000 migrants from Zimbabwe it had attempted to deport. The department will now hold consultations without a predetermined outcome, Leon Shibra said, being said that we need to actually see what works for South Africa and what works for the affected people. Shibra's predecessor, Aaron Mosweledi, in 2021 set in motion a process that would force the migrants, most of whom had the right to live and work in South Africa since 2009, apply for other categories of work permits which most would not qualify for or leave the country. That led to a legal battle culminated in the department losing an appeal in the Constitution Court in June. The 2009 decision to allow the Zimbabweans to stay in the country legally was based on that country's economic collapse, and there has been little improvement since. Today, the 178,000 Zimbabweans who benefited from that decision, along with many hundreds of thousands of documented and undocumented migrants from the country, work in a variety of occupations in the country, ranging from chief executive officers to gardeners and waiters.